Hi, I'm Heather. I'm back with another really quick book review. I took like a week off of BookTube after Reading Rush because it was super intense. So like 2 videos every day, like a vlog and a challenge. I thought that I would take the week off of reading as well because it was 7 books in 7 days. I was like, oh, I deserve a vacation from reading. But basically, who was I kidding? Like, why would I take a vacation from reading? Like, reading is the vacation from just like my normal boring life. So that ended pretty quickly. And the book that I've been reading this week is Made in America by Bill Bryson. It's actually called Made in America, an Informal History of the English Language in the United States, which is telling, but a bit long and stupid, in my opinion. It should just be called Made in America, but nobody listens to me, so whatever. Basically, this book was amazing! It was so amazing, but I'm perfectly in understanding that it's not going to be for everybody. Like, this book speaks to my particular kind of nerdiness, and if you have a nerdiness that is at all different from mine, you may find it boring and pedantic. But basically, it's a lot to do with it's like a bit of American history, a bit of like linguistic analysis, a bit of like politics, international relations, social studies, geography, like all these sort of things that I absolutely love. And it's to do with why the English language is the way it is in America, so why it is that American English is different from sort of, the original like British English or whatever. And sort of gives loads of like little details and little tidbits that you maybe thought you knew but didn't actually know, or things you wouldn't normally think of. Just sort of, it's just peppered with like loads of fun and interesting facts about language. Like, if the words fun and interesting facts about language do not appeal to you in a special way, then this book is just like not gonna be for you. But like, if, like me, it gives you the tingles, watch on, folks, and then read this book because it's so good. I keep telling random people, like, I'll just be on the bus and be like, did you know that Eeny Meeny Miny Mo in the rhyme, Eeny Meeny Miny Mo, catch tiger by its toe, isn't actually just a nonsense rhyme. It actually preserves a pre-Roman counting system. The rhyme is just that old, and then the people on the bus are just like, do I know you? Like, what is this about? But there's absolutely loads of them like that, and they just like kill me. So there's also this other one where some people in like the late 19th century or whatever, like early 20th century, they went to this remote island in Denmark, and they found these children saying this rhyme that's like, it sounded a bit crazy, and they're like, this sounds like something I've heard, even though it was like in Danish. And they're like, actually, this sounds pretty much like Jack and Jill, but all messed up. And it turns out that it is Jack and Jill all messed up, like sort of British like military people or whatever, sailors or whatever, in the Napoleonic Wars, sort of like early 1800s, went to that island and taught those people Jack and Jill, and then it survived for like the 100 years or whatever afterward, but had morphed into like weird Danish weirdness. Also, there's a really good one where like the first Thanksgiving, like the story of the first Thanksgiving, where the Native Americans helped the sort of incoming European pilgrims to stay alive during the winter by teaching them about like corn farming and sort of like all this stuff, and then them having this like celebration or whatever at harvest time with all of them together. Like, loads of ways that it's told are to do with like them not being able to communicate very well because they don't speak the same language, and then the pilgrims like teaching them some English words or whatever, but apparently that's not true at all. Like, the Native Americans that sort of introduced themselves to the pilgrims when they got there already spoke English due to like sort of fishermen and stuff, English speaking fishermen and whatever, that sort of frequented the coasts already. So the Native Americans already spoke English. Like, the pilgrims rock up into like the middle of nowhere, like the brand new world of just wilderness, and they're like, where are we? And the Indians are like, hey, what up? We got some corn for you. Oh god. Anyway, Americans are always taught this like the best speeches and everything by presidents, and like all of the best words sort of immortalized and spoken by them. And like Abraham Lincoln's speeches are quite famous, like particularly the Gettysburg Address. says 20 years ago, our forefathers, like blah blah. It's really good. But apparently his speaking style for the time was super weird. Like in addressing a huge audience and being like a learned man, you were meant to sort of have 2-hour-long speeches that reference like Greek myth and like the classics and like all this historical like mumbo jumbo. Everyone's just like snoozing in their chair. So then after this like really long speech for the guy that went first at Gettysburg, everyone's like, and then Lincoln comes up and he gives like a 4-minute speech, and that's just the end, and everyone's like, what has just happened? I don't really know. Apparently it's to do with the fact that he's from the frontier. So like at the time, you know, where he was from in like Illinois or whatever was like the backwoods. It was like completely rural and like on the edge of the planet, like no one would go any further, blah blah blah. Whereas now it's just like smack in the middle. But like because he was from these like rural areas and this like rugged frontier, a sort of linguistic characteristic of people from that area is just like not really saying a lot, like really sort of like clipped speech, like not sort of over the top and loads of adjectives and blah blah blah. It's just sort of saying it to the point and sort of then moving on. So apparently all of his speeches or whatever that we now sort of immortalize and think of as being like brilliant and like so inspiring were just like at the time really frontiersy and like rustic and rural, but like a hick, just sort of stating his piece and then leaving everyone going, well, that could have been longer. So along with like all of this like American history and stuff that he puts in sort of how American language, sort of the words that we use and the way that we speak, is married to sort of the unique American experience, you know, like our history and our makeup and our like culture and everything like that. One of them is sort of like one of them that I really liked, like I don't know if it's like true or not, but it sort of like appeals to me how one of the very first Americanisms is know-how. And it's like sort of speaks to or is like indicative of this like cultural American belief that any problem can be fixed with like a bit of like, you know, like a bit of rugged determination, like a bit of knowledge, a bit of learning, you know, collected knowledge about something, a bit of skill, a bit of go, you know, like a bit of know-how, anything can be fixed. Also, so early sort of visitors from Britain and Europe or whatever to America noticed like one of the differences between how Americans say things and how like Britons would say things is that our form of English used to be, or like I guess still is, but was like more of a noticeable thing at the time. That American speech is sort of more class neutral or sort of more like classless, if you will. So the way that we address all men and women as ladies and gentlemen, instead of reserving it to specifically ladies and specifically gentlemen, like, you know, wealthy and powerful type people. And that's sort of indicative as well of like American society at the time being less obsessed with class. But also he says about how very early on Americanisms and American speech and sort of speech patterns and everything have been obsessed with money. Because sort of people that never had a chance to have money in Europe or whatever before move to America, and suddenly they have like quite a lot of opportunity to make quite a lot of money, and sort of everything becomes about opportunities to make money. So all of our expressions and everything have absolutely loads to do with like being rich or getting rich, and like just indicative of an obsession with money. So one of the things that I actually quite liked about the book that I think probably some people wouldn't like is how he sort of framed immigration. He sort of spoke about it in quite positive terms. We have this idea as Americans about Ellis Island being like the gateway to freedom, where everyone from Europe who emigrated to America in the 19th century, they came through Ellis Island. But he said that was only sort of a bit later. Like, first of all, they came through another place. It was called Battery Park. And sort of the people were funneled through this like beautiful like opera theater or something like this. And he says in there, he says, far from being a cold and insensitive introduction to the new world, it was a dazzling display of America's wealth, efficiency, and respect for the common person, and one that made many truly believe that they had passed to an earthly paradise. Like, you know, we have all these stories about immigrants being treated like crap and like being, you know, shoved away and told they can't come in, or like being sent home for stupid things. And like, in reality, only 2% of people were actually sent home being found sort of like with an illness that we can't accept or something like this. Like, only 2%. And even with Ellis Island, only people from steerage were sent through Ellis Island. Everyone else did their processing on board the ship. So the sort of immigration experience into America in the 19th century was largely really positive and made people feel like, yeah, like I finally made it, you know, as opposed to sort of now all of these stories about sort of the border currently, them sort of taking their children away and people being put in like really small like cells with like no running water and things like that. And he says like how he ends it is really really pro sort of immigration and immigrant as well. He sort of says so and so's like immigrants coming or whatever, and then sort of ending with, and America will be richer for it, you know, which I thought was really good. And like another thing I hugely liked about this book is packed full of a crazy amount of research. Like the amount of research that has gone into this book must be just like I can't even like just, dear God, Bill Bryson must have spent absolutely ages. He must just be, like when he's writing this book, he must just be surrounded by mountains and mountains of like books and papers and everything, and he's just like hideously like writing down all these different facts or whatever. It is ridiculous amount of research has gone into it. I think something that's bad about the book is obviously that it's like so chock full of facts. Like if they're not your kind of facts, like even for me where it is my kind of facts, sometimes I'd find like a section that was like don't really care about the history of baseball, like can we move on, blah blah blah. But like especially if this isn't your kind of factual thing, you're just gonna find it a snooze fest. And I think it definitely speaks to a certain kind of person with a certain kind of interest. But if you're not into that, it doesn't matter because I'm just giving you all the highlights, so now you read it. Right, okay, so that was Made in America, and I fully 100% recommend it. This is probably one of my favorite books now, along with his other one, Mother Tongue. I find like history of languages ridiculously fascinating, especially when they're to do with like my own particular language and my particular like accented English as well. Right, if you liked this review, give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. That would be amazing. Also leave me a comment if you have anything to say about this book, like maybe you've read this book, maybe you're interested in this book, maybe you have something to say about your kind of English language or your kind of dialect of whatever language you have as your native language. If you've read anything else by Bill Bryson and you really liked it or didn't like it, whatever, like let me know in the comments. I love to have a chat about things that I love. Right, okay, until next time, bye!